Starting the journey to improving your credit can feel a bit overwhelming, and oftentimes I hear people saying that they simply don't know where to start. I believe that with a bit of guidance, this is a process that you can totally navigate yourself. What I'm going to do over the next 8 weeks or so is break down what I believe are some essential steps that you can take to both repair and rebuild not just your credit, but your personal finances. And I'm going to do this in simple, easy to understand terms. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when I release a new video in this series. So from understanding your credit reports to disputing inaccurate information and getting out of debt, I've got you covered every step of the way. What you're seeing here is my free DIY credit repair course. So part of my teaching here in these lessons is going to be based around the very information that I have in this free course that you can access by going to the link in my bio. I'll also put the link in the comments. Enrolled and getting started. It's really as simple as that. We'll start by understanding your credit reports. So picture your credit report as a report card of sorts, but for your financial history. Now, there are three major companies that gather this information: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. But here's the kicker. They don't always have the exact same information about you. Why? Well, not all of your lenders tell every company about your payments and debts. Some only spill the beans to one or two of these companies. So to see the full picture, you really need to peek at all three of your credit reports. Here's the good news. You can actually get your hands on your credit reports for free. Yep, you heard me right. Uncle Sam has got your back on this one. So head over to annualcreditreport.com and snag a copy of each report from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion once a week without spending a dime. Now, some of you may already have a recent copy of your credit report within the last 30 days. If so, hey, you're a step ahead. Just make sure you also have a copy of your credit reports from annualcreditreport.com. So why annual credit report? Well, with annual credit report, while they don't show you your credit scores, you're going to see some key pieces of information that's pretty important. You'll see the date in which derogatory items are set to come off of your credit report, and you'll also see soft inquiries. Now, soft inquiries will tell you if a debt collector is peeking at your credit report. So say the debt collector has not reported the debt collections onto your credit report, but you see them on your soft inquiry section. That means that they are watching you, and there's a good chance that they're getting ready to report something onto your credit report. And you also just want to make sure that businesses and entities that you've not given permission to look at your credit report aren't doing so. Sometimes reporting violations are found in the soft inquiry section of your credit report, and the reports you pull from annual credit report are the only reports that show you the soft inquiry section. These are your real credit reports, and they could actually be used in a court of law should you decide to take legal action against, say, a debt collector for violating your rights. I'm going to have a future video on that. So if your credit reports are from Smart Data or Identity IQ, etc., these are credit monitoring services that pull your data from the credit bureaus into what's called a tri-merge report. Now, tri-merge reports can be easier to navigate and read. However, they've been known to pull some of that information incorrectly, and at times they're missing information that is actually reporting on your real credit reports from annual credit report, like TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Also, the credit scores on these tri-merge reports tend to be Vantage scores and not FICO scores. Most lenders are looking at your FICO scores. They're not looking at your Vantage scores when they are deciding whether or not they're going to lend to you. Now, if you want a copy of your credit report with your FICO scores, which I recommend that you obtain, especially if you have a goal of purchasing a home, purchasing a new vehicle, or taking out some sort of substantial line of credit or funding, then I'm going to recommend that you go over to myfico.com to get your credit reports from them. They also get their information straight from the credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, but they provide you with all of your FICO scores, which are the gold standard for credit scoring. 90% of lenders are looking at your FICO scores. They are not paying attention to your Vantage scores. One thing I want to point out to you real quickly is why it's important to make sure that you are looking at your FICO scores. Most lenders are utilizing your FICO scores when they're making that decision whether or not to lend to you. You have many different versions of a FICO score. So if your goal is home ownership, your mortgage lender is going to pull your FICO scores 2, 4, and 5. If you are looking at getting credit cards or perhaps funding, that lender or creditor is most likely going to be looking at your bank card scores 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, as well as your FICO score 3. If your goal is to purchase a new vehicle or get an auto loan, that lender is going to be looking at your FICO auto scores 2, 4, 5, 8, and 9. So the My FICO website provides you with all of your FICO scores, all versions of your FICO scores. You're not going to get this with Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, Smart Credit, Identity IQ, and other similar sites that provide the tri-merge reports with credit monitoring. They are using Vantage scores. Vantage scores are not incorrect scores. It's just that most lenders are not looking at your Vantage scores. So I hope this helps. I think my video would be complete without touching on Credit Karma, because a lot of us do tend to check our credit scores and credit reporting, credit updates via Credit Karma. Credit Karma, from what I've seen, and I'll tell you, they use Vantage scores. They will have you thinking you're in the 700s club, and then you go and you apply for something and you are nowhere near the 700s club. I've seen that happen time and time again. I call Credit Karma kind of like the heartbreaker of credit monitoring, because I've just seen a lot of people rely on Credit Karma only to be truly disappointed when they find out the hard way. Not in the 700s club, they're like in the 5 or low 600s club. But like any financial service, Credit Karma has both advantages and disadvantages. Some of the advantages include the fact that it's a free credit monitoring service. They do offer free credit monitoring, and that allows you to track your, Vantage scores from Equifax and TransUnion. They do not pull scores from Experian. So this can give you an idea about changes to your credit profile. They also allow you to access your credit reports, again, from Equifax and TransUnion for free. And this allows you to be able to review your credit history and identify any errors or fraudulent activity. Now, I will say that I do not recommend disputing with Credit Karma or through Credit Karma. I will touch base on this in a later video, but I just don't recommend doing online disputes through any third-party apps. If you're going to do online disputing, you want to do it directly through Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Again, this is for a later video. Credit Karma will also give you credit score simulators, although they are Vantage scores, but they do provide some pretty nifty tools which can help you to understand how certain financial actions might affect your credit scores. And this can be valuable for those of you who are looking to improve your credit worthiness. Now, some of the disadvantages include the fact that they have a lot of advertising and marketing. Credit Karma generates revenue by promoting their financial products that they recommend, like credit cards and loans. So while these recommendations can be helpful, they do a ton of advertising, and that can be pretty overwhelming. They have limited credit bureau coverage. Again, they only provide credit scores from Equifax and TransUnion, so you don't have access to Experian. And that not only limits your visibility into your overall credit profile, but like I mentioned, Credit Karma uses Vantage scores, where most lenders are looking at your FICO scores. And then there's the score discrepancies, like I mentioned earlier. Credit Karma, because they use Vantage scores, those credit scores probably don't align perfectly with the scores that are provided by lenders or other credit monitoring services like my FICO. This is a discrepancy that can oftentimes, and I've seen it oftentimes, lead to confusion or frustration when you expect your credit score to be higher than what it really ends up being. So my recommendation is that you get your credit reports via annualcreditreport.com. And if you want to know what your FICO scores are, then get a copy of your credit report from the myfico.com website. So now that you have your credit reports, and while we're on the topic of credit reports, I want to talk to you about these secondary consumer reporting agencies that you probably aren't even aware of. There are dozens and dozens of these agencies that also report information on you. So we know about the three main ones, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They have the most significant impact on credit reporting and scoring decisions. However, there are these secondary consumer reporting agencies. They are smaller, they're more specialized, and they tend to focus on specific types of data or niche markets. What they do is collect and report information that you're not going to find on your Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian report. For example, rental history. You've got AmRent. They provide tenant screening services, including employment and income verification to property management companies and landlords. You can go to their website to access your free report. You get one every 12 months. Then you have Appfolio. They provide tenant screening services to property management companies and landlords. You can go directly to their website and access a free report. You've got Contemporary Information Corp, does the same thing. Go to their website, you can get a free report. Experian Rent Bureau, they're very well known. They collect rental payment history from property owners and residential real estate managers. You can also go to their website and you can get a free report every 12 months. I think the key is if you're going to apply for a rental property, a lease, ask them in advance which credit bureaus or secondary bureaus are they going to pull from. Or if they are using a tenant screening company, get the name of that tenant screening company and see if you can find out. You may have to call the tenant screening company, or maybe the apartment or the place you're trying to lease will let you know which either credit bureau or secondary bureau that tenant screening company is going to pull from. Then you have the secondary bureaus that report your employment history. So we'll go back up to the table of contents, because again, you can click on any of these and it's going to pull up the list of secondary bureaus. So you've got secondary bureaus that report your employment history. That includes any past employers, job titles, and lengths of employment. And that information can be used by employers for background checks and verification purposes. This is really important because if you are going to apply for a position that requires security clearance, you're going to want to make sure that your employment history, your credit report is clean. Then you've got secondary bureaus that will report your banking and checking account information. Check systems is a big one. So here you could go to this document and just click on check and bank account screening. Like I said, check systems is a big one. These secondary bureaus tend to report information related to account closures, overdrafts, and any instances of fraud, along with just regular banking activities. So financial institutions, credit cards, lenders, they use this information to assess the risk of opening any new accounts for you. So you've got like Certegy Payment Solutions, check systems, cross-check, early warning services, global payment check services. So also, if you're going to go and apply to a different bank, say you've got a bank with Chase, but then you want to go get a bank with Bank of America or credit union, they will cross-reference with these secondary bureaus to see if there's any information on you. So I always just say, before you apply for anything, you have the right to ask that place of business, hey, which credit bureau or secondary bureau are you going to pull my information from? And then you can be proactive and get your credit report from that bureau. Then you have bureaus that report information on you regarding insurance claims, your insurance claims history, and this includes auto insurance, property insurance, and healthcare claims. These insurers will use this information to evaluate your risk and determine your insurance premium. And then you have alternative credit data. So you've got some secondary agencies that will collect and report alternative credit data like utility payments, telecom payments, rental payments. This type of data is helpful for individuals that have limited or no traditional credit history, allowing them to build credit profiles based on their payment behavior. One other secondary bureau that I want to just point out to you real quick that you're probably going to want to pull your credit report from is LexisNexis. I call LexisNexis the granddaddy of these secondary bureaus. They have everything on you. We're talking about from the time you were 18 years old. So all addresses, all PO boxes, they can have information pertaining to your driving history, your driving records. They just have a lot of information on you that isn't reporting on your Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian reports. Don't be surprised when you pull a LexisNexis report if it's 200 pages long. It's just shocking to know that you may have these secondary bureaus collecting everything on you. And you do have the right to dispute information, request information get deleted off of the credit reports that you pull from these secondary bureaus. So again, go to the link in my comments and download this PDF guide. Go through the different secondary bureaus that you think you might need to get your credit reports from, and then order a copy of your credit reports. It's not going to hurt, and it's for free. So if you found this video to be helpful, please like it, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and in the next set of videos, we'll start to go through the components of your credit report and identifying some of the errors that you should be looking for on each section of your credit report.